Hello everyone, this is Remlays from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest installment of 40k lore for newcomers. For this episode, we'll take a brief look at the green-skinned race known as the Orcs. As always, specific videos will be made in future to give more detail to notable events or individuals.
We're the best! Think different, do ya? Come and have a go then, you rundy little wimp!
The Orcs are a brutal green-skinned Xenos species who are part of a larger race known as Orkoids. The Orcs themselves are the largest of the Orkoid race, which includes the smaller Gretchen, or Grots, and the diminutive Snotlings, or Snots, with the average Orc standing between 6 to 7 feet tall with their hunched posture. However, if an Orc stood fully upright, then the average Orc could exceed over 8 feet in height. The modern day Orc race are descended from a species known as the Krork, who were originally created by an ancient Xenos race known as the Old Ones during the last days of their war with the Khitan, known in ancient records as the War in Heaven, which took place long before humanity even evolved. The Krork were designed purely as a weapon of war to fight for their masters, who in Orc mythology would become known as the Brain Boys. As befitting a race descended from biological weaponry, Orcs are exceptionally violent, valuing strength above all else. As such, Orcs will frequently fight amongst themselves as often as they will fight against other races, just to prove they are the strongest. In Orc society, strength equates to size, which in turn equates to rank within the Orc hierarchy. Orcs are one of, if not the most numerous sentient race within the galaxy. Now, while Orcs lack any sort of all-encompassing or cohesive form of united territory, there are numerous amounts of smaller Orc empires, each ruled over by a war boss or warlord. The Orcs themselves were also one of the first races to have been encountered by humanity when humanity began to colonize the stars during the Dark Age of technology. Orcs and humans have fought so often and for so long that it seems unlikely that this form of events will ever change. Orcs will fight humanity simply for the sheer fun of it, and humanity, for the most part, treats any Orc invasions as an exercise in pest control.
Humans are pink and soft, not tough and green like the boys.
Orcs are extremely tough, durable and strong creatures, with a thick leathery skin that has a distinct green colour. They also feature a relatively simple nervous system, which results in the Orcs feeling little to no pain. An injury that could leave a human screaming in agony may not even register for an Orc until he realises that either a chunk of their body is missing or a blade is lodged in their skull. An Orc's skeleton is replete with bones which are incredibly thick and reinforced. In the place of bone marrow, Orc bones are filled with a fungal sponge. The more an Orc fights and the more it wins, the larger an Orc grows, which in turn shows other Orcs how important he is in relation to other members of his tribe. If an Orc fails to engage in fights for a long period of time, the creature will start to grow sluggish and obese, regardless of the Orc's diet or amount of exercises it partakes in. Orcs themselves are a fungal symbiote, and are a strange amalgamation of fungus and animal. An Orc's bloodstream is thick with fungal life, which includes a high amount of chlorophyll with trace amounts of copper and carbon. Strangely enough, Odd Boys, the cast of Orcs that involve Mech Boys, Pain Boys and Runt Herds, which are the Orc equivalents to mechanics, doctors and slavers, also contain artificial DNA strands within their genetic makeup. These artificial DNA strands allow the Odd Boys instinctive knowledge on how to perform certain tasks without the need to be trained. As such, when a Mech Boy says that fixing bikes and buggies is in his blood, they are speaking in more or less a literal as well as a figurative sense. The fungus in an Orc's bloodstream allows for a basic amount of photosynthesis in order to produce sugars from sunlight. However, this alone is simply not enough to sustain an orc's physiology, and so orcs feed upon a large variety of foods, including plant matter and meat. The most common aspects of an orc's diet are fungus, which is harvested by Gretchen and Snotlings, and creatures known as squigs, which are a species related to the orcs, with each strain of squig fulfilling multiple functions within orc society, such as food, pets, attack dogs, and even musical instruments. Orcs also feature a unique circulatory system. Their veins are incredibly muscular and capable of pumping blood through their body without the need of a functioning heart. Orcs themselves are so durable that they can survive the crudest and most barbaric of surgeries and accept the crudest bionics, which are typically ripped from machines and then hammered and bolted into an orc's flesh without the fear of bodily rejection. They can even survive decapitation for hours at a time, long enough to allow the head to be grafted onto a new body.
Those stupid Yumis have left a bone behind! Huh? It's got wire attached to it! Losget, help me pull this thing free!
The orcs are an asexual species, reproducing without the need to mate like most organisms. Instead, orcs are continuously shedding fungal spores from their flesh throughout their lives. These spores will then take root within soil and develop a fungal womb in which offspring will gestate until maturation. However, orcs are not the only creatures that are generated from these spores, as these fungal wombs will also produce squigs, snotlings, and Gretchen before the orcs themselves emerge. However, the spores that generate orcs themselves are generally shed later within an orc's lifespan, or upon an orc's death. In essence, an orc is a self-contained ecosystem, producing plants and animals which can infest an entire world. This proves problematic with worlds that have faced orc invasions within the past. For many generations after the invasion, populations can find themselves under attack from hordes of feral orcs that emerge from the forests and mountains. The only way to rid a planet of orcs for good is either through cleansing firestorms or by subjecting the world to exterminatus.
Orcs is equal, but some orcs are more equal than others.
The most common social group for the orcs is the tribe. Each tribe can comprise of many orc boys, who are the regular rank-and-file warriors. Overseeing them are the nobs, who are the orc equivalent of nobility and ranking officers. They in turn defer to a war boss who commands the entire tribe. The largest orcs tend to operate in positions of power, usually by beating smaller orcoids into submission to show them who's boss. The only orcs who are seemingly exempt from this hierarchy are those orcs known as odd boys. These odd boys are specialists within orc society, each with a dedicated role within their tribes, though each will defer to the tribe's war boss or warlord. Mech boys are orc engineers and mechanics, fixing the tribe's vehicles and weapons, and even creating their own absurd custom gear. Pain boys are orc surgeons and medics who theoretically treat injured orcs, but are more likely to perform horrific experiments such as a squig brain transplant. Runt herds are orc slavers, keeping watch over the Gretchen, Snotlings, and any other races unlucky enough to be enslaved by the orcs. Unlike most orcs, runt herds are willing to learn other languages and introduce rewards to slaves who perform well, in order to get the best from their charges. As well as belonging to tribes, each orc will usually be a member of a clan. While a tribe may constantly shift in allegiance, numbers, and leadership over and over due to the constant infighting within tribes, as well as smaller tribes being conquered and absorbed by larger ones, a clan is much more stable. In essence, a clan is more of a cultural touchstone than it is a tribal delineation. There are 6 major clans, and each will have its own customs, heraldry, and even unique biological and sociological quirks. The first of these clans are the Goths, humorless and brutal even by Orc standards, favouring the colours black and white and preferring to meet their enemies in close combat with sluggers, heavy Orc pistols, and choppers, brutal close combat weapons. The Bad Moons are rich Orcs equipped with the best weapons and armour. This is due to a genetic quirk that allows Bad Moon Orcs to grow their teeth, which is also used as currency within Orc society, at a faster rate compared to other Orcs, allowing Bad Moon Orcs to buy top-of-the-range big shooters and mega armour from the tribe's mech boys for their warriors. They are also associated with the colour yellow. The Death Skulls are superstitious scavengers. They are notorious for looting battlefields in order to acquire scrap and discarded machinery in order to create their own unique custom weaponry. They are also known for painting their skin blue, which in Orc society is associated with luck, as well as carrying tokens and charms to bring luck from the Orc gods. They are also known for using looted vehicles from other races within their armoury. The Snakebites are considered to be old-fashioned by other Orcs. They continue the ancient Orc tradition of raising and riding massive boars into battle, even modifying them with mechanical components to create cyborgs. The Snakebites get their name from their initiation ritual, where an Orc is bitten by a venomous snake, and the Orc has to suck the venom from the wound in order to prove their toughness. They are associated with the colour brown due to the furs and leathers that they wear. The Blood Axes were the first Orcs to make contact with humanity, and have adopted many aspects of human culture, including the use of dress uniforms, retreating from the enemy, and the use of tanks and artillery in order to soften up the enemy prior to assault. They also have a large number of commandos, Orcs who utilise stealth and assassination techniques. Due to these traits, the other Orc clans view the Blood Axes as cowardly and generally un-Orky. The last of the 6 clans are the Evil Sons, who are obsessed with their warbikes and buggies. Due to their obsession with fast vehicles, many members of the Evil Sons clan join the cult of speed, becoming known as speed freaks. They become addicted to ever-increasing velocities, even resorting to dangerous cocktails of drugs to keep them from sleeping, and only leaving their vehicles in order to undertake necessary repairs. They are known for the strong use of the colour red, for in Orc culture, red vehicles are faster. As well as tribal societies and clans, there are a number of outcast Orc groups, typically formed by those deemed as un-Orky or dangerous to Orc society. These groups are the Freebooters, who are Orc pirates and will frequently operate as mercenaries to any race willing to pay them, the Speed Freaks as mentioned earlier, and Feral Orcs, who are primitive and violent even by Orc standards, using only stone axes or weapons stolen from other races.
Gork loves me, and Mork thinks I's the best. No puny human's gonna kill me, not when the greenest god in the galaxy is watching me!
The Orc religion consists of the worship of 2 gods, Gork and Mork. Gork is described as brutal yet cunning, while Mork is described as cunning yet brutal. They are the reflection of the Orc spirit and nature made manifest within the warp, where emotions and beliefs are given form. They, like the Orcs themselves, are savage and violent, content with battling one another and ignoring the other gods of the warp. The Orcs construct temples to their gods in the form of massive war machines known as gargants. These machines are the Orc equivalent to Imperial Titans, gigantic behemoths bristling with guns and missiles, stomping into war and inspiring the other orcs around them, as if their gods march to war alongside them, which in turn encourages the greenskins to greater acts of violence in order to prove their worth to Gork and Mork.
We is gonna stone the universe black and kill anything that fights back. We're the Orcs and was made to fight and win.
Orcs are a curious species in that they generate their own gestalt psychic field. This psychic field grows in intensity when more orcs are present, and even more so whenever orcs are fighting. This field also attracts orcs to larger specimens, as the larger orcs generate a stronger and more potent field of psychic energy. This energy, known as war energy, also allows the orcs to subtly manipulate their surroundings due to their beliefs. For example, a bike painted red will in fact be faster than another bike, even if they are exactly the same in construction, simply because the orcs believe it. This even extends to their technology, as the war will allow an orc's weapon, no matter how poorly constructed, to function simply because an orc believes it can, much to the confusion of the Adeptus Mechanicus. However, some orcs are more psychically sensitive than others. These particular orcs are known as Weird Boys, who are essentially orc psychers. However, due to the nature of war energy, Weird Boys suffer from intense pain as the energy buildup increases, causing agonizing and unbearable migraines. If the Weird Boy doesn't vent this war energy, then his head and the head of any orcs in the nearby vicinity will explode. To this end, Weird Boys will usually try to earth the excess war energy by utilizing staves made of copper, before unleashing a stream of ectoplasmic vomit. However, some Weird Boys, known specifically as warp heads, have grown addicted to this pain, and unlike other Weird Boys who would actively try to avoid large congregations of orcs, warp heads will seek out brawls or other causes of rowdy behaviour before unleashing a storm of psychic energy before any of the other orcs realise what's happening, which causes many war bosses to chain warp heads to vast totem poles until they are needed. But the main function of war energy is in fact a form of psychic beacon. When a war boss grows larger and more powerful, more orcs will flock to him until the warband is large enough to launch a crusade, which is also known as a war. This war is part invasion force and part holy pilgrimage, where they will lay waste to many worlds before they are either destroyed or until infighting splits the war back into its separate components once more. And that wraps up this brief overview of the Orc race. If you liked this video, consider supporting us on Patreon for more content. To those who are new to 40k, we hope you learned something today, so leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.